Good evening and welcome to Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, PBDC TV's place where professional filmmakers have their life's work evaluated and critiqued by a talking cat. Tonight we're doing something fairly recent, a sci-fi horror comedy mashup that answers the question of what would a Power Rangers episode look like if it included decapitations and graphic violence. We'll get to that in a minute, but first we need to check in with our production assistant Guinevere on the status of Operation Monkey Freedom. Come in, Guinevere, are you there?
I read you loud and clear, Steve. Gwen's here too, but she's got her hands full operating the camera. Operation Monkey Freedom is a success, except I'm an ape, not a monkey.
Hey, Meerkat's back with us. Good to see you, you little monkey. So, what happened after Gwen landed? We heard some commotion but lost the video feed.
Well, Steve, as you know, I am Crimson Meerkat. Yes, that's my code name, Crimson Meerkat. And I am currently in the Appalachian Mountains. I'm here in an attempt to rescue your former administrative assistant and my former science advisor, Malcolm Fluffosaurus, who was mistakenly released at this location after an alien abduction. I have been on Malcolm's trail, but back in episode 0401, I was captured by a group of meth-dealing cannibal hillbillies. They had originally intended to marry me off to their daughter, but after learning that Malcolm was in the area, they decided that he would make a better groom, and I would make a good, wedding buffet. That's when you dispatched Gwen to execute Operation Monkey Freedom to rescue me.
That's a very nice summary, Meerkat. I'm sure the new viewers appreciate it. So, what happened after Gwen arrived?
I engaged the enemy with an aluminum softball bat and a variety of blunt weapons found on site at the cabin where Meerkat was held prisoner. I was able to incapacitate the entire cannibal family and get Meerkat out the back door. I see no evidence that we are being followed.
It was amazing, Steve. Simultaneously surgical and brutal. I really owe you guys one.
Yes. Oh yes, you do. So, what's next?
Well, now that Gwen is here, she can operate the camera, and we're able to dispatch my camera drone to search for Malcolm. We detected some traces that might be him to our west, so we're heading that way now. Unfortunately, we've lost contact with our drone, so we'll start the search at its last reported position. We have detected a residence not too far away from the place where the signal was lost, so I'm guessing somebody on meth blasted my drone with a shotgun.
Well, while we're on the subject of threats, we've learned that Helen Trash Panda has hired a bounty hunter and dispatched him to Appalachia to find you.
What? Bounty hunter? But I'm not out on bail, and there's no way those meth-addicted hillbillies were legitimate law enforcement. So what you're telling me is that she sent someone here to kill me.
Oh, don't be so dramatic, you little circus monkey. He's not there to kill you. The trial for Helen's lawsuit has been delayed because they haven't been able to serve you a subpoena, so Helen sent the bounty hunter as a process server for the court. If he catches you, he's going to serve you a subpoena, then you'll have to head straight back to headquarters for a deposition. And if that happens, Penelope absolutely will have you killed, so in a roundabout way, I suppose you're right. He is there to kill you. Anyway, you two keep your heads down, okay?
Little circus monkey. How charming. You know, Steve, I had hoped this could be the start of a turning point in our relationship, but now I see that nothing has changed. You're as insulting and condescending as ever. I'm going to bed. Meerkat out.
Aw, the poor little guy is cranky because he's tired. Well, with that out of the way, it's time to get down to the business of horror movies. Thank you so much for joining us. We're glad you're here. Now get your popcorn and have a seat because here we go.
Unimaginable to your simple minds.
Winner is champion of the universe. Loser gets buried alive. Got it?
You're making a terrible mistake, you putrid little creature. It's time for me to take this newfound power and use it to destroy the galaxy. I do not care for hunky boys. Or do I?
Knock knock.
What?
Knock knock.
Have you succumbed to madness already? The power of love.
What?
Soon, you will beg me for mercy, but know that you will only receive pain. I will bathe in your blood.
Just say who's there already. Jeez, what planet are you from?
Gygax, you will suffer an eternity for this!
Yeah. Bye!
My entire existence is built on death and destruction. I will kill you both.
He's family now. Don't worry.
Be worried.
Well, it was nice meeting you.
It would be nicer if you were dead.
Alright, bye.
Let's get into our featured film review for this evening. Tonight we are going to talk about this film. It is a film called PG, Psycho Goreman, kind of a spoof on E.T. there with the PG in the title. This is a sci-fi horror comedy, a fairly recent sci-fi horror comedy. This was released in the year 2020. You're going to find this on Shudder. I don't know that you're going to find it anywhere else. You will find it, of course, on home video. This was directed by Steven Kostanski, and the cast includes Nida Josie Hanna, Owen Meyer, and Matthew Ninneber as Psycho Goreman. Let's get into setting your expectations for this film. If you're going to sit down and watch Psycho Goreman on Shudder, what you should expect is a wacky, weird, over-the-top, and gory sci-fi comedy that revels in its small special effects budget. Now, normally this is the part of this episode where I give the titles of other movies that, if you like them, you would like the film we're talking about in the featured film review. Psycho Goreman is kind of a little different, so what I'm going to say is imagine an episode of Power Rangers, or imagine the old movie Monster Squad from back in the 80s, except with a lot of graphic violence. So the humor of this film is kind of the contrast of taking something that looks like it's made for kids, but then having decapitations and everything else going on in the film. So let's get into setting your expectations and calibrating your sights. This is the scale we like to use when we calibrate our sights going into a film. On the far left side of this scale, we have very campy films such as Jason X. And on the far right side of this scale, we have very serious films such as The Silence of the Lambs. This scale, of course, is not an indicator of the quality of the film. It's an indicator of what your mindset needs to be going into the viewing in order to maximize your enjoyment of the film. Psycho Goreman, well, you might have gathered from what to expect, but it is a very campy film. You need to go in with your mindset all the way over to the left side of this scale, expecting a very campy film. If you go in expecting art, you're going to be disappointed. If you go in expecting profound themes, you're going to be disappointed. This is a film that you tune in to just have a ball watching. Now, before we go any farther, we need to do our vocabulary lesson for this evening. This, of course, is the part of the show where we discuss new and innovative words and phrases in an effort to stay ahead of social media bots and algorithms that would otherwise try to ban our conversation. Social media bots and algorithms are always evolving, and therefore our language must evolve to stay ahead of them. Two terms this week. They're both review from earlier seasons. Our first term is executive overreach. This goes back to season 3 of Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat. And executive overreach is a slang expression for a demonstration of police excessive force or overkill in a horror film. Our second term goes all the way back to season 1, and it may go back to the very first episode of Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat. Our term is denoggening. Denoggening, of course, is a noun that refers to the action of removing the head of a person or an animal. Please keep these terms in mind. They will become important later in the episode. So let's get into a summary of Psycho Goreman. Now, this is one of those films that starts with an opening crawl and an opening narration, kind of like a Star Wars film, to get you up to speed on what's going on. And what you learn is that thousands of years ago, a nameless evil known as the Archduke of Nightmares was overthrown by an alien order known as the Templars, and he was imprisoned on Earth. Of course, thousands of years later, a young brother and sister stumble across the alien warlord and the mystic gem used to imprison him. How did they stumble across? Well, they're digging a hole. Why are they digging a hole? Well,
Here's the deal, man. Winner is champion of the universe. Loser gets buried alive. Got it?
That's fair.
Yeah, the brother loses, the brother has to get buried alive, the brother has to dig his own grave. As he's digging, yeah, he stumbles across the gem and the alien warlord who are imprisoned behind it. Well, of course, the sister, being the victor making the brother bury himself alive, takes the gem as a trophy, and in the process accidentally frees the warlord in the process. Now, the good news is, as long as she has the gem in her possession, the warlord must obey her commands. Well, what could possibly go wrong in this scenario? Well, as you might imagine, a number of things could go wrong in this scenario because the Archduke of Nightmares, whom she calls Psycho Goreman, has a lot of enemies. At the top of his enemy list is the Templars. The Templars are from the class of powerful alien busybodies who see themselves as peacekeepers, but actually are bullies. Their special powers include, but are not limited to, strength, speed, invulnerability, and shape-shifting. And as far as signature weapons go, they don't have a particular signature weapon. They have multiple energy-based weapons and multiple bladed weapons as well, so they're pretty versatile when it comes to their implements of destruction. And now a word from our benevolent overlords at PBDC TV, your nightly heartbeat of horror.
Hello, all you beautiful people! It's your boy, Slippy! And when I'm not gouging my face down in gallons and gallons of ice cream, I'm watching PBDC TV. Yes, the most amazing TV show out there. Now keep on watching. I love y'all. Mwah! Stay nasty.
Well, gentlemen, perhaps we wouldn't be where we are today if we hadn't said to ourselves, just go, 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 go for it.
Final score for this film, we're going to give it 3 paws out of 4.
La Señora de la Santa Muerte, Spanish for Our Lady of the Holy Death.
Out now!
Oh, not sex and violence!
Hi everybody, I'm Aka.
And I'm Pre-Sexist Diamond.
And we are Roots Bleed Red on Psycho Bunny Death Cult.
Aha!
In fact, humans have a very long history of eating each other.
So lock your doors, turn out your lights, and join us for Ghoul Radio.
This is Professor Edgar Fluffosaurus from Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, and when I'm not hosting Monster Chat or knocking down small Japanese cities, I'm watching PBDC TV. Now back to the show.
Let's talk about some of the things I liked about this film right off the bat. I like the fact that it does not take itself seriously, and it just seems to revel in itself and its small special effects budget. You can just tell that the people who made this film just seem to have a lot of fun putting it together. It's a film that's a lot of fun to watch, assuming you can watch something campy and not take it seriously. There are many over-the-top practical special effects and alien makeup effects in this film. Now, that's not necessarily to say that they're extremely high quality. They're a bit campy looking, but there are a lot of them, and in a way it might remind you of like a cantina scene from the Star Wars film where you've got just every different kind of alien imaginable. Mimi, who is the sister in this film, she's just kind of funny. She is an odd duck. She's a bit of a narcissist, a bit of a bully, but it's kind of funny the way they play it up in the film. The family in this film is very dysfunctional, and frankly, the dysfunctional dynamic between the husband and the wife and the two kids is pretty darn funny if you don't take it seriously. Now, the film is an exercise in contrast, like a PG-rated kids movie, except with decapitations and blood and gore. So it's not the kind of thing you set out to take seriously. It's like I said, it's the closest thing I can think of to describe this is an episode of Power Rangers with graphic violence. And overall, the film is pretty funny. I did laugh a good bit watching this film. Now, this film is not without flaw. Let's talk about some of the things that could have been better. And similarly to what we just discussed, the film does not take itself seriously and has a small special effects budget. If that is the sort of thing that will bother you, it is going to bother you. If you need something serious and artistic, this is not the film for you. Give this one a pass. Watch something else. The special effects and the alien makeup effects are quite obviously cheap and campy. This is one of those films that seems to revel in the fact that it doesn't have a lot of money and that everything's cheap and campy. If that's the kind of thing you can enjoy, you're going to enjoy this film. If that's the kind of thing where you cannot check your mind at the door and you cannot put that kind of thing aside, you are not going to enjoy this film. So just give this one a pass if you need hyper-realistic alien makeup effects. Mimi, the sister in this film, kind of a disturbing bully if you allow yourself to be disturbed by that sort of thing. And similarly, the family's dysfunctional dynamic is a bit concerning if you allow yourself to be concerned by that sort of thing. And finally, if the contrast of the film, which is like a Power Rangers episode except with graphic violence, if that does not strike you as funny, then you're not going to enjoy this film. It's kind of one long joke stretched out over, say, an hour and 20 minutes of kids movie contrasted with graphic violence. So it's not really a kids movie. It's a movie intended for adults with the feel of a kids movie, except for all the graphic violence that happens to be thrown in. And the contrast of that, if you like it, you're going to think it's very funny and you're going to enjoy the film. If not, you just need to watch something else. So let's get to Steve's scorecard for this film right off the bat. Kills, we have 12, plus some mass casualty events. Mass casualty events, we do not try to count the explicit number of kills because it's just too difficult and time-consuming. So how many mass casualty events do we have? Well, we have battles, and we have 2 of them. They are told as flashbacks during montages, so you don't really get a good bead on how many people are killed, but you do see a couple of mass casualty battles as the Archduke of Nightmares is describing his rise to power in the galaxy. Bare breasts? Well, none. It is absolutely not that kind of film. You didn't see bare breasts in a Power Rangers episode, you're not going to see them here. Denogginings, you get 6. Not just 1, not just 2, you get 6 denogginings in this film. And finally, executive overreaches, police excessive force, you get 2. But with your viewing of PG, Psycho Goreman, you get a number of bonus features, such as a son asking his father at bedtime, "Dad, are monsters real?" And the father responding, "Well, son, in a lot of ways humans are monsters, so in a way, Yes, they are real. Similarly, you have Mimi telling her brother, I told you before, Grandma is in hell forever. You have Mimi bringing a number of magazines to Psycho Goreman to keep himself occupied and to learn about their world. Some of them are fashion magazines, and she says, hey, just enjoy the magazine with the hunky boys. To which Psycho Goreman responds, I do not care for hunky boys. Or do I? You get an 80s style musical montage. Actually, it's probably a 90s style musical montage, but for those of us who grew up in the 80s, I immediately thought 1980s film as I was watching this. You get a definite 1990s Power Rangers vibe in this film, between the action and the types of costumes and everything else. And in this film, one of the things that I just found really funny is that to be eaten alive is considered a warrior's death. So if Psycho Goreman says to you he's going to grant you a warrior's death, he's about to eat you. And finally, is Mimi funny or is she horrible? Really, I cannot tell. On the one hand, I kind of laugh at her. On the other hand, she is a horrible, horrible human being, bully, narcissist, and everything else. So if that's the sort of thing that's going to bother you, watch something else. So let's get to Steve's final score for this film. We're going to give it 2.5 paws out of 4. We're going to say that this is a borderline 3-paw film. I almost gave this 3 paws. This mixes the campiness of a Power Rangers episode with the blood and gore of something like a film from the asylum. So imagine the Power Rangers crossed up with the blood and gore from something like Sharknado. Now, ultimately, the film feels a little bit confused about what it's supposed to be because of that contrast. If you enjoy that sort of thing, you will enjoy it. If that's the sort of thing that sounds like it's going to appeal to you, this is going to seem more like a 3-paw film. If that is the sort of thing that is not going to appeal to you, this is not something you are going to want to watch. So there's going to be kind of a hard dividing line on this film between people who like the joke and people who don't like the joke. And the people who like the joke are going to enjoy the film, and the people who don't are not going to enjoy the film. But that is Steve's final score for Psycho Goreman, and that is our featured film review for this week.
Tell me about the accident.
Sorry.
Sorry.
He is alive. Technically, anyhow.
We've almost reached the end of this episode of Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, but before we go, once again, we're going to take just a moment to talk about some other stuff I watched this week. This week, we are going to talk about a film called Forbidden World. I found Forbidden World on Tubi, free with ads. This is a 1982 sci-fi horror film by Roger Corman. Yes, by Roger Corman. And it's a ripoff of Alien. Alien came out in '79, so people were still ripping it off in 1982. Now, these are the same people who made Galaxy of Terror, which we reviewed last season, and it recycles some of the same sets, which, if you remember our review of Galaxy of Terror, a lot of the production design was done by James Cameron. Yes, that James Cameron, who did Aliens and Terminator 2 and Titanic and Avatar. That James Cameron started out working on Galaxy of Terror with Roger Corman. He designed a lot of the sets on that film. They were reused in this film. Some of the footage from another Roger Corman film called Battle Beyond the Stars was also used in this film, so Roger Corman knew how to stretch a dollar on the making of a movie. Anyway, so to get down to what this film is about. On a remote planet in the far future, a genetics lab has created a life form called Subject 20, intended to stave off galactic hunger. Good to know that in the future we still have not solved world hunger, or in this case, galactic hunger. Subject 20 mutates, of course, escapes, of course, and holes up in a cocoon, of course. So a military officer is sent in to investigate. And soon, Subject 20 emerges from the cocoon and begins to eat and kill the station's crew. So basically just like Alien. So, what do we think of this film? Well, this film was produced by Roger Corman, so you know up front what to expect, or at least you should. Now, if you are new to the program or new to horror movies, let me throw you a lifeline here. Roger Corman is famous, or infamous, depending upon your point of view, for doing very low-budget, schlocky, exploitation kind of horror films. He did Galaxy of Terror, he did Humanoids from the Deep, we mentioned Battle Beyond the Stars, he did Forbidden World, he did many, many, many others. They all feature low budgets, low budget special effects, and exploitation material such as, but not limited to, bare breasts. So in this film, you've got what is effectively a companion piece to Galaxy of Terror. It is not a sequel to Galaxy of Terror. I don't really know whether or not you can say it occurs in the same cinematic universe as Galaxy of Terror, but it is definitely a similar film in that it is a ripoff of Alien, and of course it's similar because a lot of the sets are identical. So this film contains campy low-budget special effects, as you would expect, and just enough exploitation material such as nudity and sex to offend the critics, but delight the target audience. So what's all this boil down to? All it boils down to, meh. Overall, it's a meh kind of film. It's not bad, but it's nothing special. I would rather watch Galaxy of Terror. If you have seen Galaxy of Terror and enjoyed it, you will probably like Forbidden World. If you did not like Galaxy of Terror, it is highly unlikely that you will like Forbidden World. In my opinion, Galaxy of Terror is the better of the two films, but they're not like leaps and bounds apart from each other. Anyway, that is Forbidden World, and that is other stuff Steve watched this week.
That brings us to the end of yet another episode of Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a lot of fun putting this episode together, and we hope you enjoyed it as well. Of course, we always love to hear from you, so feel free to sound off in the comments about your favorite horror comedies, or favorite sci-fi horror mashups, or anything else that suits your fancy. And as always, if you did enjoy the show, please give us a like and a share. The best thing you can do to help us out is to share this video. If you want to stay up to speed on our latest videos and other goings-on, you can follow us and subscribe on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat is available exclusively through PBDC TV, your nightly heartbeat of horror. If you're interested in horror movies, true crime, creepy history, or unexplained events, we're sure to have a show for you. You can find us at PsychoBunnyDC.com, and we're also on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. We also have a 100% Zuckerberg-free Discord site. If you would like to check it out, just head on over to PsychoBunnyDC.com and click the link for an invitation. We'll be back to the scary stuff next week, so you won't want to miss out. We hope to see you then, but in the meantime, everyone have a great week and stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Good night, everybody.